What's up, 49er Empire? I'm Jerry Fresh, and this is Fresh Perspective. Today I want to talk to you about a player on our team. He is a front runner for the backup quarterback position, Nick Mullens. I hear a lot of people talk about Nick Mullens and exactly what they feel about him and how talented he is. He stepped in last year for Jimmy G, his toughness, but he has some resemblance to Brett Favre. Nick Mullens continues to progress and continues to be a player that the 49ers can rely on. I think the real argument is if Nick Mullens is good enough to take Jimmy G's spot on the team. If that's the case, then we have a dilemma. But today I want to break down a little bit of Nick Mullens as far as scouting report that's on NFL.com. And I want to give you my opinion on Nick Mullens and give you my opinion on why I believe he's so hyped. I have my thoughts on Nick Mullens, but I'm going to let this report sink in. And then I'm going to give you honesty. I want to understand why so many people like Nick Mullens. In my own mindset, I said, wow, I like the way this guy plays. I'm glad we have him on the team. This guy steps up pretty well. But at no time did I think in my mind, we need to get rid of Jimmy G and get Nick Mullens in there. Not at all. I did think we need to get rid of CJ Beathard and get Nick Mullens in there. I never thought that Nick Mullens should take Jimmy G's spot. I'm reading from the NFL.com scouting report. This is a 2018 draft prospect quarterback out of Southern Miss, 6'1", at 187 pounds. Not the biggest guy coming out, not the tallest, not the heaviest, of course. His height, that's like Baker Mayfield coming out. Weight is closer to Kyler Murray. Those are the two quarterbacks that initially what I'm seeing. So this is his overview. They're going to give a little overview. NFL.com, you can actually read this for yourself. This is my first time really getting into it. I want to share that moment with you. So I want to actually look at this, read it, and give you right here, right now, what I feel about Nick Mullens. I want to be upfront with it. Overview. Like many talented signal callers, Mullens got thrown into the fire early in his career. After excelling in high school, he was Alabama's Gatorade Player of the Year in 2012. Unlike others, he broke many school records, even some of those by Hall of Famer Brett Favre. Okay, right off the bat, we see where the comparison to Brett Favre, they go to the same school. Nick Mullens comes in, Brett Favre with his prestige, what he brings to the table. Nick Mullens comes in, he's breaking records already. Boom. I can already see why these players are compared. He already is following Brett Favre's footsteps. He started 6 times as a true freshman, learning the ropes. 1,776 yards, 13 touchdowns, 14 interceptions at just under 50% completion, while the team went 1-5 in those games. One of the things that I believe is that, just like Peyton Manning's rookie year, you got to learn how to lose in order to learn how to really win and be a champion. Right off the bat, in college, learning how to lose the right way. What do you mean by learning how to lose the right way? You could separate men by adversity. A great man will take adversity and build upon that adversity and continue to move forward. A weak man, a boy, will see adversity and turn the other way and run. Already, he's taken his adversity. He's going to say, went 1-5 in those games. Mullens started 10 games the following year, missing 2 with a foot injury, and his efficiency improved. Okay, so he's showing improvement. He had that 1-5 season, and then he comes back, he gets injured. He's showing he can still play. Now he's showing efficiency. His efficiency improved, 2,470 yards, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 60% completion. But the team failed to go to the bowl game. Finally, okay, before I get to when he starts to make some moves here, you see his completions. He's showing progression. That's what you want to see. In our society, just want people to instantly move and be a finished product. We don't even want to share in watching or being a part of building that finished product. Nick Mullens here in college went from 1,776 yards to 2,470 yards, 12 touchdowns, and only 9 interceptions. He has shown progression and improvement. That's what you want to see. He's developing. He's showing an aptitude to develop. So first, he just failed. 1-5 season. You showed that you can lose right, but then here we go. Finally, everything came together in 2015. He completed 63.5% of his 521 passes for 4,476 yards, 38 touchdowns, just 12 interceptions. This is showing true progression, showing that I have the ability to go from high school to college. It's another level. I have to train more. I have to learn. I develop. I don't get stuck Why is that so important? Why am I saying progression? Why am I saying improvement? NFL scouts and coaches know that the odds of especially a quarterback to come out and be successful right off the bat, college speed compared to NFL speed is so different that you most definitely have to see that this player can progress. Can he get this? Can he comprehend this? What is his capacity up here? So this man throws for 4,476 yards, 38 touchdowns, and just 12 interceptions. Though he missed 2 games with the injury this fall and was only an honorable mention selection by league coaches, 3,272 yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 63 completion percentage. Mullens led his team to a bowl win. That's what they wanted. Remember, he progressed again. Remember, there was a time where he fell shy of a bowl game, but not this time. He's increasing his wins. He's learning how to win. I want a player who learns how to win, even if it's ugly. Mullens led his team to a bowl win in his final game. Mullens also showed great toughness by playing through an injury to the thumb on his throwing hand. A bone popped through the skin. He came back to play in that game wearing a glove. Wait a minute. Let me read that again. The bone popped through the skin. He came back in the game and played with a glove moving forward until it healed sufficiently. Yeah, I don't want to shed a tear, you know what I mean? But let me tell you something right now. Jimmy G, if that man breaks a nail during the game, he's getting carted off the field. And I love me some Jimmy G. Nick Mullens, brother, this is awesome. Not only are you showing progression, let's go through the steps again. This man came in throwing 1,776 yards, 13 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and just shy of 50%. The next year he comes back, 2,470 yards, 12 touchdown, 9 interception. Then he just blows it all up. 4,476 yards, 38 touchdowns, just 12 interception. Last but not least, 3,272 yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 interception, 63.3 completion percentage. Mullens also showed great toughness by playing through an injury to the thumb on his throwing hand where a bone popped through his skin. Fam, stop fronting. I don't care if you with your TV remote changing channels. Half of you guys are gonna pass out. You in the hospital, you crying, call your daddy. This man puts a glove on and continues to play the game. Nick Mullens, listen, I have my opinions of Nick Mullens. This is what I thought. I feel like we haven't got a proper assessment of Nick Mullens' game in the NFL because defenses haven't got the chance to truly sit and watch him play the NFL game. Jimmy G, even though he hadn't had a lot of game tape, he had a lot of hype. Teams were over-preparing for Jimmy G, and they still will do that because he came from the great Bill Belichick, raised up by Tom Brady. He's worth preparing for. Nick Mullens comes in, and you're kind of surprised. All right, introducing number 10, Jimmy Garoppolo, starting quarterback, San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy G's hurt. It's Nick Mullens who's playing. Oh, okay, Nick Mullens, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm saying that there's not a lot out there on him. But, man, after reading this, the bowl of ingredients to make something successful and great, Nick Mullens has everything it takes to be an awesome player, and I believe that he is in a good spot. Some people think that Jimmy G is injury prone. For a player like Nick Mullens, that may be the best situation you can ever be in. He may get an opportunity to play more often than not. People have an allegiance to certain quarterbacks and certain teams. I'm gonna tell you why those allegiances and stuff like that, when you have I'm dedicated to this player, and I'm gonna tell you something about that. This is NFL.com. This is what the scouting report that they have put out for Nick Mullens. So the analyst is his strengths: good foot quickness in the pocket, can go from play action to pass ready quickly, able to bounce around and find slivers of space to cut it loose when pressure descends, expedited throws from off-balance angles and hit his targets, capable and controlled passing attack with tight release, throws with quality touch, exceptional toughness. He better have exceptional toughness after a bone popped out of his hand and the man put a glove on and continued to play. Bro, I'm trying not to like Nick Mullens, but after reading it, I can't even keep a straight face because it's like, wait a minute, this man, so the bone pops out. Most of us scream, pass out, wake up, it's stitched back up, you're good. But this says as a strength. Any man who has this as a strength is a straight up savage. Had training staff push the bone back in and stitch up a compound fracture in his thumb so he could finish the game. Let me tell you something. This man, I got to start my live chat because I want to really have some feedback right now, because I would truly be like, I didn't even know this. I got people that I go in chat rooms with that don't even bring this up. You argue for Nick Mullens and you talk about stats and he's already in the NFL and what he's doing. If you want to shut me up, all you had to do was say, this man had his bone pop out of his hand and he had a training staff push that thing back in there and he continued to play. On top of the progression this man's making, you know how much toughness? Before I go too far, let's get into the weaknesses. Looking right now, the weaknesses are not that heavy. So it says he's well below NFL normal size. Okay, I don't know if you know this. There was a quarterback that was drafted this year, 5'9" and 3/4, probably 185 pounds. I think they gave him an inch on height and they gave him a couple of pounds on weight. And I don't know if you know this either, but there's a guy named Baker Mayfield. He also, at 6'1", was not the tallest of quarterbacks and not the biggest and buffest quarterback that we've ever seen. I've seen some big guys come out and go to Denver and be sloppy. So that weakness right now, I don't count that. Can you ball out? That's all I care about. Lacks NFL caliber arm to push the ball down the field and drive it between the hashes without defensive back making plays on the ball. Okay, so look at Pat Mahomes. This man's arm strength gives him the ability to break some rules, some golden rules that you don't break. But because he is such a phenomenal athlete, he can break those rules. Nick Mullens doesn't have that ability. He doesn't have the arm strength to make the decision that I'm gonna do a no-look pass or throw up my leg. He don't have that ability, so he has to do a little bit more calculating. The same with Jimmy G. Jimmy G's arm ability, that quick release, gives him the chance to break a rule or two and still go and get that pass there. Again, that's not the biggest weakness. As long as he's not throwing like Peyton Manning at the end of his career, I'm okay. Will opt out of throwing the ball on balanced platform and looking to tossing it off of his back foot. Again, talking about Pat Mahomes, talking about Jimmy G, he wants to be those guys. He's trying to make those throws, but maybe in college it works, but when you don't have that arm strength, throw off platform in NFL, that ball is going to intercept it. Nick Mullens has to gauge when he goes. He doesn't have the ability to wait, give himself a second or two like Jimmy G does or Pat Mahomes, and get that ball out quick, or else something bad's going to happen. His ability and his toughness, he doesn't have to do that. Succeed in what you have, Nick Mullens, and you'll be okay. It says floats throws to field side and a deep middle, needs to get ball out early to compensate for lack of arm. Again, Nick Mullens has to know who he is and where his limits are. So let's go to the bottom line. Mullens is a productive college quarterback with good competitiveness and toughness, but lacking the minimum standard of size, which we don't want to consider a weakness anymore because players like Baker, players like Kyler Murray are changing that narrative real fast. It says not just the size, but also the arm strength. And so arm strength is just realizing what you can do. Last but not least, Mullens could make it into camp, but is unlikely to find a spot on a roster. Who wrote this? Part of the assessment is really on point. Did you read what you just wrote? You wrote this progression of a player. You wrote a man who started off at 1,700 yards and progressed all the way to damn near 5,000 yards. A man who doubled his touchdown when he started all the way to when he finished, made the bowl game, the bone popped out of his hand. He forced the trainers to push the bone back in and continue to play. My final assessment on our backup quarterback, Nick Mullens. When you read something like this from NFL.com, you get excited. Shame on me because I didn't go through and read this. I watched a little bit of film, and I liked what I saw. Nick Mullens, what a college career. He showed progression. He showed the ability to move forward. I still don't know exactly how good Nick Mullens could be. So I think it's not correct for us to assume that he could be our starting quarterback. We don't even know if Jimmy G could be our starting quarterback because he can't stay on the field. But I can see why fans are hyped on Nick Mullens, because the lack of Jimmy G on the field gives even more cadence for us to march in the thoughts of Nick Mullens. People are saying, okay, but we can't trade Nick Mullens though. Right now, no, don't trade him. Let's say Jimmy G goes down for 5 games next year, 7 games. Nick Mullens goes in there and balls out. We just paid one quarterback $125 million, and we got one who we can keep around for a little bit longer, I believe. If Nick Mullens is this phenom, upper management has to make the decision. stick with the quarterback you put all your money in? Or are you going to say this young gun right here, Nick Mullens, the man who pushes compound fracture bones back in his hand, puts gloves on and goes out and balls out, invest in him or Jimmy? I am thoroughly impressed. Our loyalty is to whoever is on the throne at that time. If Jimmy G is on the throne right now, I'm loyal to him. But as soon as somebody else unseats him and is helping our team win, and this logo is winning, I'm loyal to that person. It ain't personal. It is what it is. So if Nick Mullens balls out, my feelings aren't hurt because my team is winning. I'm excited about what the 49ers can do, whoever helps them do it. If it is the greatest player on the team or it is the man who picks up trash outside of the stadium, we just want to win. I'm Jerry Fresh. Thank you so much for watching my channel, for your support. I have seen an uptick in my liked videos and my subscription. Thanks again. I'm out.